Newsmakers Live, now in its 10th season, salutes the superwomen of Georgia. The women of Atlanta and all of Georgia are creating positive change in business, politics, and the civic influence of our communities. Join us each Monday evening here at Newsmakers Live as we salute the magic of these women and their contributions to our daily lives. And now, from BQE Restaurant and Lounge in the heart of Atlanta's historic Auburn Avenue district, here is your Newsmakers host, 8-time Emmy Award-winning journalist, Maynard Eaton.
Yeah, we're kind of excited about what the lineup we've had and we're going to have. We have the Democratic candidate for governor next week, Stacey Abrams, and Stacey Adams the week after that. But tonight, we have two pioneers here with us as well. To my right is a former state representative and now candidate for Secretary of State, Dee Dawkins-Haigler. And to her right is a fearless political warrior, magazine editor, activist, running for the state senate out of 9th District, Gwinnett County, Ms. Cheryle Moses. Welcome, ladies. Thank you so much. Dee Haigler, you've been involved in politics, some of the fiercest wars in the State House. You've been there for a while. You stepped back, and now you want to jump into the fray again as a candidate for the Secretary of State. If elected, correct me, you'd be the first African-American woman ever elected statewide to a constitutional office, correct?
That would be correct. And so this is very exciting, being that we had two men previously, Thurbert Baker and Michael Thurman, who held Attorney General and Commissioner of Labor positions. But this will be the first one out of the 8 constitutional offices that a African-American woman will win statewide.
Can you do it? It seems like a big job.
The job, yes. I think my whole entire life has prepared me for this time. During my tenure in the General Assembly, I spent my time fighting for voting rights, trying to make sure that the vote was never suppressed. I also spent a lot of time trying to promote businesses throughout the state of Georgia, which is another task of the Secretary of State, is corporations and licensing. So those are the things that I pride myself on having experience with, and I'm ready for the task.
Finally, not finally, but the end of this little series, it's never been done before. Georgia's not known for electing black women. This could be a record year. Well, what gives you the time to say this is our time?
Well, it has always been our time, but I think right now the sentiment around the country is we can't allow the black women to always carry the vote for the Democratic Party and then still not give them the opportunity to lead. It's almost like what I like to say, an article that I have written last night that I'm going to probably release tomorrow. It's called, "I'm Not Your Political Booty Call." In other words, don't come around to us election time to expect our votes, and you only come around that time like the man would come at the dark of night to come get you when they want something from you. People come to us for our vote because they know without our vote they can't win. But I'm not your political booty call. I'm very competent and capable enough to serve in any position that is put before me, and so are my other black women counterparts, because we have paved the way. We have carried the water for generations. We have been the butcher, the baker, and the candlestick maker, and so therefore we could also serve as governor, lieutenant governor, secretary of state, senator, and all the likes, and even president of the United States. It is our time, and had it not been for the black women, Senator Jones would not have won in Alabama, and we carried the water for Hillary Clinton. Even when the white women departed her, the black women stood and held the ground. We told the line, so it's our time.
That's the headline. We are not your political booty call. That's the headline so far. But I go to Cheryle Moses, who's a headline maker herself. Cheryle, you're not only running for the state senate out of 9th District, your first time candidacy, but you're also leading a movement, you call it, of Democratic women who dare to lead Gwinnett County and the state.
Yes.
You're organizing women to take over, to not be booty calls.
Exactly. You know, I'm all about pulling folks together and fighting for what we stand for and what we believe in. So Gwinnett County is the most diverse county in the Southeast, but has been totally run by white men. So I got into the race strictly because the man who is currently holding that office in District 9, he cannot run unopposed again. No one should be running unopposed in 2018. And I'm doing the event, partnering with Black Gwinnett and urban media makers to present 33 women who are running in offices that all directly affect residents of Gwinnett County. So what we see is a lack of opportunities for residents to actually have one-on-one conversations. So I wanted to do something different than your regular formal, sit on the stage, ask a couple of questions. Because for me, I want to be able to touch you and look into your eyes and feel your energy. That helps me decide whether I'm going to vote for you or not. So this is a great opportunity for everyone to do that, as well as an opportunity for us to speak on issues relating to race, diversity, and inclusion, which is something that I find as I go to these different forums, candidates are skirting that topic, dodging it.
How are you finding this combination of being an activist, and you've always been one, and you refine that art in Gwinnett County, which is you're kind of a rare bird out there in that regard.
This is true.
But also now being a campaigner, a political candidate. Can you wear both hats?
I don't have a choice. The universe has brought me to this point. As I tell everyone, I was supposed to be the person behind the candidate. I was not supposed to be the candidate. The person I had been going to his house, cooking, cleaning up, talking about how we needed him to run in Gwinnett County. Well, the morning we were supposed to go to qualify, he said, no, Mo, let me enjoy retirement maybe in 2020. So at that point, I'm ready to go. So I went and qualified for myself. So everything happens for a reason. And I was looking, like I say, to be the person behind the candidate. But here I am. What better person to run than me? If not me, who?
Are you saying the same thing? If not you, who? I mean, is this time for women, Black women, all across the state and across the country to show their clout and their capabilities?
Yes, it is that time, not just for Black women, but all women, but Black women in particular, because we have been the catalyst for pushing so many people across the finish line. And so it's just our time, not because we're Black women, but because we're qualified individuals who happen to be Black women.
And besides that, we're looking at almost 20 years since the year of the woman when women were elected to offices. But then once elected, they really didn't have a say. The men in office were still telling them what to do. Now here we are in 2018. You have one in five persons in legislature are women. That's a small percentage when you look at how many of us compared to men in the population. So there needs to be a change. Women, we are nurturers. We get the job done. I love our men, but the men today are messing up everything. So it's up to us to save the world. And that's what we women always do. So I love you.
Yeah.
You're
but
great.
You're a great
man.
I would never run for office. I'm a mess up already.
But it takes us to come clean up mess. So we're looking to clean up mess.
Is that the electable key, though? Is that being this nurturer? I mean, how will you win? Where are the votes going to come from for you? Will it come from women?
Well, it will come from women in particular, but it's also going to come from men. I believe there are a lot of men who understand that when you elect a woman to office, she will carry through on her promises. It used to be an African proverb that when you educate a man, you have, in essence, prepared a man for life. But when you educate a woman, you have prepared a village.
That's right.
And you have educated the community for life. And so women just by nature get in there and make sure that we pull and everybody with us as we climb. Everybody has to come with us.
And when you look at Gwinnett County, it takes the whole diversity. We have a little over 55% white population. We have 23% African American, Black, between 12 and 15% Latinx. And then we have the largest Asian community, period, I believe, in the United States, 9% in a concentrated county. And
That's a microscope of America, isn't it?
it is, but that's what I say. Gwinnett County is truly a melting pot. Right now, it's the second largest county in Georgia, but it's predicted just in a couple of years, it's going to be the largest county.
But the only black elected official is your Norcross mayor.
That's why it's time for a change. You cannot be a lawmaker representing only one race in a county. When you have a county that diverse, you have to be able to bring forth laws that reflect an attitude of inclusion. Right now, that's not reflected in Georgia.
And what's your message to your likely voters? What do you tell them? I'm a first-time candidate. I'm good at what I do, but why should I elect you?
You should elect me, as I said, because I am bringing diversity and inclusion to the conversation of lawmaking, but also because of what I'm pushing, my platform. I want us to have a higher minimum wage. We need a minimum wage of at least $10 or more. I just looked at a report that showed in Georgia, they looked at the entire United States to see how much it costs to live, just to have a 2-bedroom home, right, pay a mortgage. It would take $20 an hour, 17 to $20 an hour just here in Georgia. We're talking about a minimum wage when you really look at it, it's less than $5 an hour. I don't want people having to work 3, 4, 5 jobs just to, pay rent. We need a wage that a person can actually live on. That's not offered here.
Dee Dawkins-Haigler, why do I care who the Secretary of State is? And what do you bring to the table to make that meaningful to me?
It matters not only that we have the right to vote, but who counts the vote. Because let's just look at it. We had a Secretary of State in place for the past 8 years who has done nothing but suppress the vote. And what do I mean by that? When you look across the state and decisions that could have been made, he did things that were contrary to help those with people of color. For instance, in Hancock County, he allowed the deputy sheriff use taxpayers' dollars to go to the residents of Sparta and knock on their doors to verify whether or not they lived in their homes so that they could vote. When you look at Quitman, Georgia, they made allegations of voter fraud and said that the people on the school board and other members of society, by registering so many people to vote and actually getting them to vote, they were breaking the law in some kind of way that was voter fraud. Now, in all of those cases, the Secretary of State could have told them to stand down, but they did not. And so in this particular race, there are 8 people running for Secretary of State, 7 men, and I'm the one woman, and I'm hoping to be the last one standing. Let's just be very clear. In my race alone, why it's important is because the person who a lot of people may know across the state, the Congressman Barrow, when he had a chance to do right in Congress on different issues, he did not. So for me, if you led the effort to repeal Obamacare, not just vote to get rid of, but you led the effort to repeal it, if you receive more money than any other Democrat in Congress while serving from the NRA and glad about it, if you voted against the Dreamers, or DACA, which would impact, say, places like Gwinnett. And if you voted against the environment, and the list goes on and on and on, if we couldn't trust you then, how could we trust you with our voting rights? How is that possible? If we can't keep our babies safe from bullets because you in bed with the NRA, then what makes us think that when you would become the Secretary of State in a Georgia-controlled legislature, that you wouldn't capitulate the same way you did with a Republican Congress?
Of course, and that's what we have to look at with all of those who are Republicans and voting strictly based on their party. We need to start putting. I know, but
But will his money buy his office up? Will that campaign contributions usher him in office?
It very well could. That's why we have to get the word out. For me, I have been running a clean campaign. I intentionally, in this campaign, did not solicit any funds from one PAC one lobbyist, one corporation, any big name donors, any DC politicians, and any special interest groups. Because I believe out of all of the constitutional officers that the Secretary of State's position should not do such, because you're over elections. And how can you run clean and fair elections if you are in the bed of special interests? I think that's impossible. And this is why people don't trust the voting system now. Democrats don't trust it. Republicans don't trust it. And even those jokers that run around who don't vote say, I don't trust the system. But they don't trust the system because everybody in bed with special interests. And that's why I didn't take any money.
Can female elected people running for elective office raise money? Is that a problem for the range of folks you're talking about?
Well, especially for first-time candidates, you have to look at what the opponents have raised in past history, in past, and look at what you can realistically do. But that's where grassroots come into play. It's all about knocking on those doors, getting to people one-on-one. I tell everybody, if I get you in front of me, oh yeah, I can sell you on me, because
you're compelling.
You will see that I am genuinely, for people. And that's the main thing that we have to push in lawmaking, that we are about making choices that have positive effects on the constituents.
Ladies, let's talk about two women who are running for governor of Georgia. There's been some controversy today. For example, Stacey Evans, excuse me, thank you, Stacey Evans, had a news conference with all her black supporters around her. There's been some controversy about Stacey Abrams not doing the right thing with regard to gerrymandering and the Hope Scholarship. Where are you two ladies? Where are we with this two Stacys running for governor?
As I said, I'm rooting for Democratic people, so I'm rooting for both of the ladies. I both have pros and cons, and I will make a decision when I get ready to make that vote.
Have you been elected already? You sound like a politician already.
I learned fast, a quick study, but I like both of the ladies. I really do.
You serve with both of them, Representative Haigler.
That's right.
Are you kind of torn? What's your thinking here?
I think that Stacey will be governor in November, one or the other. That's what I think. But let me just, there are distinct things about both of them, but I think either one of them will be better than what we currently have at this very moment.
I agree.
That's
but
what I would say.
You sound torn because you know both of them, and there's been some controversies about who voted for what. And there seems to be, to much of my surprise, that Stacey Evans has gotten a groundswell of black support. Do endorsements really matter? But black folks are coming out for her.
Okay, so I think that people matter and endorsements have a little bit of weight, but not much. I think people need to understand who's voting for them and why, because of what they're going to do for them once in office. Now, there have been some controversial votes that we take. Sometimes we can't always do what people want us to do. But I can just tell you two things. When it came down to opportunity school districts, I voted no. And when it came down to minimizing or changing the formula for the Hope Scholarship, I voted no. So both Stacys are competing on both of those issues against the other, and I voted no on both of those issues. So,
but you were chair of the Legislative Black Caucus at the time, so you had a big say in what went on. Okay, so in opportunity school districts, let me just say this. The Black Caucus took a position against opportunity school districts. We thought that it was detrimental to all of our children that attend public schools. And then when it came down to the Hope Scholarship, the formula being changed to increase the GPA, the Black Caucus also took a position in opposition of that. So the Black Caucus, under my leadership, we were very clear that we could not ever do anything that will keep our children from being able to have all of the freedoms and the liberties and a good education, whether it is in elementary, middle, high, or on secondary school, college. We cannot negotiate. That's non-negotiable. And so a lot of times people will say, well, I had to compromise. You don't compromise on our children's future. There's some things that you want to keep from happening, but you should never compromise on doing what's just and right. Now you're talking about former state representative Stacey Abrams. That's who you're speaking of right now.
I'm talking about the vote on the Hope Scholarship.
Right. And I'm not a senator yet, but I know that when it comes to negotiating, sometimes you do have to give, and there's give and take. So I don't know the particulars, and I'm sticking to what I said earlier. I am rooting for both of the ladies. The voters will make a decision.
Will the politics of the governor's race impact your state senate race, impact your statewide race as well? Will it trickle down, whatever happens up top there?
It will.
But again, either of the Stacys will be better than what we currently have.
That's right.
Will the president, Donald Trump, impact either one of your races?
Yes, maybe.
It will. Well, for me, if I make it to, when I make it to the general election, let's just be very clear. All of those Trumpeteers on the Republican side are toting his water. You have one that's doing this English-only bill. You have another one, and all four of them are saying that we've got to make sure that we protect the right to vote from alien voters. First of all, I don't even know what an alien voter is. I mean, what is that? Is that somebody from Mars? Is that from another country? I mean, what? I don't know.
Just a negative term.
But, this is the language that they're using, that we have too many illegal, they're not saying illegal immigrants, they're saying aliens, and we don't need the aliens to be able to vote in the state of Georgia. Let me just tell you this. Voter fraud is a myth, but voter suppression is real.
Oh, it's definitely real.
Ladies, let's wind this up with look straight in the camera and give us a campaign pitch. Why should you be elected? Why should voters come out to the polls to support you?
Oh, well, my voters should come out and vote for me because I am bringing a new thought to Gwinnett County. I'm looking to represent all of the residents of Gwinnett County, not just a few. And I'm looking to bring new, innovative ways of making things happen in Gwinnett County. For instance, lawmakers now brag about Georgia being the perfect place for corporations, but they never tell you that the reason it's a perfect place for corporations is because they will go and tell corporations to move to Georgia because you can pay your employees just a little bit of money per hour, and that's going to save you and increase your profits. So come on to Georgia. That's the pitch that they use to bring corporations to Georgia. What I say, let's invest in the small businesses. I'm a small business owner. Let's invest in all of these businesses and put that money in so that we can hire people who live in Georgia. So vote for Cheryle, and I will bring great new things to Gwinnett County.
And also, you have Democratic women who dare to lead Gwinnett County, an event coming up when?
Yes, the event is coming up May 17th, Thursday, May 17th. Great opportunity to meet all of the women who are representing Gwinnett or statewide races that definitely affect residents of Gwinnett County. It is 6:30 to 9:30 at the Gwinnett Justice Center. I thought it was wonderful to have it at the Gwinnett Justice Center, and we will be talking about issues including race, diversity, and inclusion.
Dee Dawkins-Haigler, you've been we talked about super women of 2018. You've been a superwoman politically for a while. You've been an activist, a star legislator. Now you're kicking it up a notch. Now you're running for Secretary of State. Why should I vote for you? Tell the voters why. Why you?
Thank you for that question, and thank you for allowing us to be here tonight. I am running for Secretary of State because it matters who sits in that seat. As I started out, people bled and died for us to have the right to vote. In the state of Georgia, we have 10 million citizens, and then we have a little over 3 million African Americans. We have $74 billion worth of buying power, and our votes matter, whether it is at the top of the ticket or the bottom of the ticket. So you need someone in place who is competent and understands the process on the state, local, and federal level. I am that person. And not to mention, I have the background necessary to operate that office. This is not just a political seat. This is a seat that requires an administrator. I have a master's in public administration, a master's in human resource management with a concentration in information technology. We need someone who can get the corporations division and the professional license division under control. It doesn't matter when you're calling in whether the person answering the phone is a Democrat or Republican. You just want them to answer the phone and be knowledgeable. But not only that, the person who sits in that seat that's going to be elected now is going to be responsible for our systems, our voting systems. Our voting system now, it is hackable. It is not reliable. We had people voting in other elections that said they went in to vote. The votes were flipping. We have to have some type of paper ballot trail in this state, whether it is paper ballot mixed with electronic technology, with optical scanning, or whether it's just a paper ballot that stands alone with a receipt that you get at the end. But some kind of way, we've got to have a system in place where you can go back and count the votes, because right now our system cannot be audited. So we have to decertify those machines that we currently have, because the share life on them has already been up for a long time. This is why I'm running for Secretary of State. So I need everyone to remember my name, D. Dedicated, effective, efficient. That's what D stands for. And then if you get confused, just remember this little mantra. If it's not D, it's not for me. I'm looking for your vote on May 22nd.
Now, she's been the quote machine tonight, because remember, the quote of the night, thank you so much. The quote of the night is, women are not political booty calls. Remember that.
Black women. I'm not your black women, not political booty calls. I'm not your political booty calls.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is, you see why we're doing this. Super Winner of 2018. I'm Maynard Eaton, Cheryl Moses, Dee Dawkins-Haigler, the next Secretary of State.
Thank you.
Joining me now for a concluding commentary is my partner, Jim Welcome.
Thank you for having us.
All right, another riveting evening at Newsmakers. We are reaching across all party lines, all color lines, all ethnic lines to touch out to women who are making a difference in the metro Atlanta area and nationally, as it turns out. Thank you for coming, ladies. Hope to have you here again as elected officials for the state of Georgia. This has been Newsmakers.
Thank you for having us.